Hello, 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 and welcome back to the channel. This is Jimmy, and thank you for clicking on another video. Yesterday, I shot my first video in the snow. Call that one the Snowmageddon. Today, we got salt trucks and snow evaporating. Sun is out, so we're starting to get some clear paths. And I definitely wasn't going to drive in today with this weather, so I took the metro, which was so awesome. Nice, easy way to get me fired up to head into the office. But yesterday's video, I talked about just a couple updates. Excited about the newsletter. Just want to continue to expand my leadership impact and give people food for thought. Today's video is going to be talking about how to achieve a growth mindset. And as a leader, like, how do you foster an environment where that mindset is not just permitted, but champion and celebrate it. I don't know if anybody listened to Andrew Huberman, but I was listening to an episode that he put out about a year ago this morning, and it was around this concept of a growth mindset being attached to your identity and like how that really can drive performance. And there's a couple really interesting concepts that he explored that I hadn't heard broke down that way before. So I want to talk about that today, because a lot of what we've been talking about on this channel, we've talked about identity and that importance of identity as a leader. Yeah, but I want to talk about growth mindset and a couple ways that we can get there and how we as leaders can really encourage it. So this idea, when I think about growth, and really considering, like, how do I detach the feedback that I'm giving myself or the feedback that I'm receiving from my outcomes? And I never really thought about the impact of doing that. Good morning. I never thought about the impact of doing that and really what it was meaning. It was a point in my career not that long ago that I worked with an executive coach. And, I always love these exercises because it's not necessarily that you're ever going to hear something totally new when you're talking to a coach, but a lot of times the way that they can rearrange something in your mind or break something down for you is give you a new way of looking at things, which is so powerful. Actually, I think it's more powerful than learning new information. And we're about halfway through the conversation in my first session, and she asked me, was I a perfectionist? And I'm like, absolutely not. There's no way I'm a perfectionist, right? I had started my first YouTube channel by then. I put out music that I didn't necessarily love. And that's what I was equating to, right? Like, me doing these things that had a result. And because in my mind they were not good, that removed this idea of me being a perfectionist. And what she clearly pointed out is I was telling her about my process. I'm like, how I watched the previous video over and over and over again so I could obsess over the small details and figure out how to make it even better the next time. And I'm telling her my thought process on just tweaking until I can't tweak it no more. She looks at me and goes, that's the picture perfect definition of what a perfectionist is. And so in my mind, I've already had a different idea and like what I was thinking a perfection was, and wasn't recognizing that in myself. So then she turns to me and hit me with a relatively profound question. She asked me, did I think I was my results? And I said, of course. I mean, you could talk about it all day, but I stood on business. I believe in being about it. And when she asked me, like, what have I done when I didn't hit something? I don't think I really appreciated and recognized failure very well. Like, I am one of the things that I do have, that I am very resilient, because I like the figuring out part just as much as I like the winning part. But I love to win, and I want to be labeled a winner. When you want to be labeled a winner, you can find yourself doing anything to win, and that's not even sometimes what we want. We don't want those costs to win, but we put winning as a part of our identity. It drives our behavior, and in turn equate to what we have. When people don't have a growth mindset, And I was in this space for a while. I was so focused on trying to get the title. I was so focused on trying to be told that I was smart. I was so focused on trying to hear that I was a great leader. There's definitely moments where I missed the opportunity to be a great leader because I stopped doing, or I wasn't in love with a lot of the things that were getting me those accolades to begin with. And so this first idea of like having a growth mindset is detaching yourself from the outcomes, because you are definitely a lot more than your outcomes. You're your failures, you're your successes, your wins, your opportunities. Like all these things you do uniquely make up your experience, your perspective, and who you are and what you bring to the table. And that experience of you failing at something could be very well the experience that a team needs to help them get unstuck. And so I just think that's really powerful. Is this the ability of people with growth mindsets? They're often detached from the outcome and they love the journey. The second thing I want to talk about that you can do to establish a growth mindset is to really lock in on like why you're good at something. Are you good at it because other people told you you're good at it? Or are you bad at something because other people told you? Like, are you taking on that label? Or you got good at something because it's what you're passionate about? You put in the time. It's almost second nature, but you know you're good at it and you feel it. And I find that when we feel that we're good at something, there's really nothing nobody can tell you. Like as a musician, I know I'm a really good musician. I know I could get in there and make beats with the best of them. And when I put stuff out there, I love it. And there's really nothing nobody can tell me. But let me put out a thought project, right? And if it's not something that I have a title around, that's where I've gotten stuck before. And so this ability to have a growth mindset is really being able to think about why you're good at something. And what I've come to realize, like my last 5 years of doing what I do, I've become really great at connecting people because I've done it a long time. I got a lot of experience, a lot of data, a lot of wins, a lot of losses, and those experiences are invaluable. So for leaders, one of the things that I think we could do to really help create an environment where we're demonstrating and we're uplifting and we're building a growth mindset in our teams. The first thing is give feedback, less from a lens of the outcome, but more from the character and the behaviors. And what I mean by that, thanking somebody or saying you appreciate somebody's effort, their hard work, their resilience, their tenacity, their ability not to give up, their ability to stick with it when it's tough, will have people do more of the behaviors that leads to engaging in that activity. So really being engaged in that activity at a high level. Versus when we do it on the outcome, right? We're trying to get the praise and deliver the outcome, but we're often detached from the experience. And what often happens is when we have a tough day and we're not getting that praise, we're looking for it, we no longer had a motivation to do so. And that's really important to think about, right? Like if I'm only getting praise when I do something great, Andrew Huberman talked about there was a study where when we praise kids on their grades, the second time around, they would maybe lie about it. They would inflate their scores a little bit because they want the praise. Versus like, oh my goodness, I see how hard you're studying. I can't wait to see what happened next. Well, what does that encourage more of? More of engaging in an activity. And hopefully what we can teach our teams and what you can help inspiring your teams for them to love the work or help them identify if it works for them. But if that's what we're praising, that's what we get more of. And so I just thought that was a very interesting concept as it relates to identity. We are oftentimes tying our identity to outcomes and circumstances, right? I'm an influencer only if I hit this many followers. Well, you're an influencer if you influence 10 people. And so what outcomes are you attaching to your identity? And what outcomes you're attaching to your identity is preventing you from being the best version of yourself today. So hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, you know what to do. Share it with somebody that it resonate with. And if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really goes a long way. We're going to be doing interviews all over the world one day with this channel. And this is the start of it. So with that being said, it's cold. I'm going to warm my hands up. This is Jimmy. I'll see y'all soon.